welcome back to Flat Tire Farm. We're an off-grid Alaskan homestead, and today I'm going to show you more than 15 ways that you can use preserved lemons. Now, a while back I did a series of videos on how you could use all the different parts of a lemon without having to throw anything away. And this preserved lemons is a product of that video series. And I'll link that video series at the very end of this one for you so that you can go through and look at those videos if you want. If you want to look at how to make the preserved lemons, you're just going to go to the video that says how to use lemon peel. We're going to look at how you can use preserved lemons in sides and snacks and sandwiches and main dishes and desserts. But first, we have to get these ready to use. When you use preserved lemons, you're actually only using the peel of the lemon. And this membrane that is on the inside now just peels right off really easy. And you can discard that in the trash, or if you're like us, you put it in the pig bucket. So let me get all these membranes separated for what we're going to use today, and then I'll meet you back in just a minute. Looks like we have enough to at least get us started today. We're going to use these preserved lemons in two different forms. One, we're going to prepare a paste, and then for the dishes that you're not going to use a paste for, we're just going to chop it up in different sizes, okay? But in order to make the paste, well, we have to chop it up, so we better do that first. I'm going to chop up enough preserved lemon would be about the equivalent of what 2 lemon peels would be. And my pieces are cut into quarters of lemons, so I need 8 of those guys. Now you might want to know, what does a fermented lemon taste like, Crystal? Well, it's fermented, it's lacto-fermented, so that means that it is fermented in salt, okay? So imagine what a salt brined or salt pickled lemon would taste like, and that's pretty close to what this tastes like. It's not as astringent as if you just ate the straight lemon peel. It's a little smoother than that, and then it has like a salty lemon flavor. So I'm going to get these chopped, and then I'll meet you back when I have enough. All right, that gave us about 2 cups of chopped lemon. Now I'm going to put this in a wide mouth quart jar because I'm going to use an immersion blender to make a paste out of this. You could use a Vitamix if you have it, or a Ninja, or whatever high-powered blender that you have. And that'll work just fine. But for me, I'm going to store it in this glass jar, so using an immersion blender means I have less dishes than getting the Ninja out and using all of its parts and have to wash it up. So. All right, that gave us about the 2 cups we were looking for. Now we need to add a little bit of lemon juice. This is just some lemon juice that I canned up. You can use store-bought lemon juice. You can use freshly squeezed lemon juice. I'm going to put about 4 tablespoons in here. Okay, then I'll get the immersion blender out, and we're just going to blend it until it's smooth and has no little pieces left in it. Okay, we got our paste done, and I went ahead and diced up a couple of those preserved lemons for our next couple recipes. So let's get to it. I figure we might as well start with the sides. We're going to make a potato salad today with some of these preserved lemons. What I really want you to take out of this entire video is that you can put preserved lemons in just your regular old common recipes, things that you're making every day, especially if you were going to add lemon juice or lemon zest. You could put the preserved lemons in there instead of having to have fresh lemons all the time. This is just a basic potato salad recipe that I would make on any given day. In here is 3 cups of diced potatoes and about 2 slices of onions that I've diced up. We're gonna add, I don't know, that many olives, okay? Other things you would normally add in potato salad, mayonnaise. I'm going to start with maybe half a cup and a little dollop of yellow mustard. We're going to put a pinch of pepper in there. And I think I'm going to use these bread and butter pickles that I made from our zucchini this year. I'll chop those up real quick. Throw those in there. You could use any potato salad recipe, the one that you normally make. You can just zest it up with a little bit of these lemons. Remember, it's kind of like a pickled lemon. They are going to add a little bit of salt to anything that you make because they were lacto-fermented, right? So they're almost like fermented in a salt brine. Actually, they are fermented in a salt brine. We need a little bit of dill because I figure if we're going to add some lemon, we should add some dill too. That is what makes sense to me. I'm going to start with maybe 1.5 teaspoons, and I might add some more in a little bit. And maybe a good tablespoon of these tiny little fermented lemon pieces that I diced up. We'll mix it up. We'll put some in a bowl and see if our famous taste tester is available for us. All right, here's our potato salad. Mr. Reeve is just coming in from cleaning the chimney. Let's see what he thinks.
Mm-hmm. Mmm.
All right, you had a question. What was it?
I just asked if this was all you made.
No, I made more.
Oh, good. Did you for real?
Yes, for real. There's
Okay.
more in the fridge.
I really like it.
What are you doing? You had to get the big bowl out?
It's good.
I'm going to tell you about the second side that you can make with fermented lemons, and then I'll show you how to make the third one. So if you wanted to make like a lemon dill rice, you could put a tablespoon or so of this paste in your rice and water when you're cooking it, sprinkle some dill in there, and this lemon flavor will infuse your rice. Pretty easy, right? Okay, on to number 3. One of the other ways that you can use the lemon paste is by making a vinaigrette out of it. So, you know, you add oil and water and usually a little bit of Dijon mustard and some other seasonings to make it kind of whatever flavor you want. So rather than adding the Dijon mustard, or in addition to the Dijon mustard, you can add the same amount of lemon paste, and that gives it an extra fresh zip. But today I thought we'd make an Asian-inspired vinaigrette for you. In front of me I have about 3 cups of thinly sliced red cabbage, about a cup of shredded carrots, and I like to use the big shredder just because that's the way I like it, and about 20 or 30 almonds that I've chopped up, and we'll chuck these in the bowl. Okay. You also can take some ramen noodles. This is just a chunk because I'm just making 2 servings of it, and smash it up. In it goes. Okay, so now we're going to make an Asian-inspired vinaigrette. In this little tiny half-pint jar, I have 2 tablespoons of salad oil. You could use vegetable oil. I think this is sunflower oil. And half a teaspoon of honey. Okay, let me get this other stuff out of the way. So we'll use a tablespoon of toasted sesame oil. 1/8 of a teaspoon of Chinese 5-spice. And if you don't know what's in Chinese 5-spice or want to learn how to make your own, I'll link the series of videos at the end. It's called, I think, Cooking for Busy Lives, or Easy Cooking for Busy Lives. And it has how to make your own Chinese 5-spice recipe and video on that. So I'll leave that at the end for you. Okay. We need a tablespoon, oh, I lied, a teaspoon of this lemon paste. And 2 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar. So I better go find that. So we're going to put 2 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar in there. And if you didn't have rice wine vinegar, you could use apple cider vinegar, would be a good equivalent, because the rice wine vinegar is a little bit sweeter than just regular old white vinegar. Then we need to stir it up. And I'm going to use this little chopstick just to get that honey to break up first. Get this lid on here. Shake it up real good. Now it's time to toss it in our salad. All right, let's get our taste tester out and see what he thinks this time.
I'm not to eat now?
You can eat now. What do you think of the dressing? Good? All right, there you have it, folks. On to number 4. Okay, guys, number 4 is pretty easy. I'm just going to tell you how to do it. You can take any salad that you're already making and throw these teeny tiny diced up preserved lemon pieces that we made earlier in it. It would be good in like a chicken Caesar salad or any green salad. Okay, this sandwich portion is going to be number 5, 6, 7, and 8. We're going to cheat a little bit because it's all just making salad. Salmon salad, chicken salad, tuna salad, crab salad, okay? And I would make them relatively all the same way. So we're going to make salmon salad. This is some salmon that I canned up from dip netting we did a while ago. Oh my goodness, I canned this one good. There we go. We are just going to get this salmon in the bowl. Try not to get the liquid in there. Just like if you bought a can of tuna fish, you'd drain the water out, right? Same thing. Now we did have a partial jar of smoked salmon that I canned in our fridge, but it seems as though the fridge fairy came and absconded with it, aka Mr. Reeve. So if I had some smoked salmon, I would probably do 50-50 regular canned salmon and smoked salmon, or maybe 1/3 canned smoked salmon and 2/3 canned regular salmon. The smoked salmon gets a lot of flavoring in it, and especially when you can it. All right, so there we go. We got it all chopped up. I have already diced up in teeny tiny dices. Let me get this dirty fork out of the way. Okay. 2 slices of onion diced up really fine. We're going to throw that in there. If you wanted to, you could add chopped dried dehydrated onions. That would be fine too. Normally we would add jalapenos to this, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to do the lemon. And I moved our little diced lemons into this jar just so that it was easier to deal with and not moving that big cutting board around all the time. So I'm going to put a nice big tablespoon of lemon in there. Also, you would normally add pickles or something like that, right? Sweet pickles, dill pickles, or relish. And I'm going to add some of my very delicious zucchini relish. I also did a video about that. I'll just use this lemon spoon. It's under the canning playlist if you're interested in that. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of that. If I had celery, I would throw some celery in there, but I don't, so I won't. All right, what else do we have? Oh, yes, we need some dill. Let's start with a teaspoon and see how it goes. Then we're going to add our mayonnaise. I don't know that much. Maybe that's a 1/4 cup or maybe a 1/2 cup. Mix it up. Okay, in all honesty, we don't have bread in our house because I am really wanting to learn to make sourdough, and if I just have the easy ready-made bread in a bag, I'm never going to get around to doing it. So I have purposefully not bought bread so that I can learn to make sourdough. So hopefully I figure that out sometime soon, and you'll get a video on that too. I have the starter going. I just started yesterday, actually. So when Mr. Reeve taste tests this, we'll just put it on some Ritz crackers and he'll eat that. Okay, so this was 5, right? So 6 and 7, just add tuna fish instead of salmon. Just add chicken instead of salmon. Or crab. I don't have a can of crab, so that's all you got. All right, ready for salmon salad?
Oh, yeah. I'm excited. Salmon. Knock all of your crackers around.
It's okay, you're allowed to now. It looked pretty once. It's pretty good, right?
Wow. Very good. Is this all you made?
Nope.
Yes.
There's more in the fridge.
Sweet. Okay,
on to the snacks and number 9, hummus. Okay, first thing we're gonna need is chickpeas or garbanzo beans. I can my own beans, so I have a 1-pint jar that I canned up. Or if you want to use the store-bought kind, a 15-ounce can will work. They're about the same equivalent, really. This is really like 16 ounces if it was full to the brim, so they're pretty equivalent. First thing you want to do is drain that liquidy stuff out of those beans if you can. I find it to be pretty gooey, so most of it stays in there, and that doesn't make me that sad. Okay, so we are going to have to use the Ninja this time, and that's okay. So our beans are going to go in there. We're going to put 2 cloves of garlic in there. Now, lemon juice is a common ingredient in hummus, and usually use a whole lemon's worth of juice for hummus. So I'm going to use a really big heaping spoonful of this lemon paste. All right, now remember, the lemon paste and the fermented lemons came in a brine, so it already has a bunch of salt in it. So when you're making things, you're going to want to cut the salt or taste it before you salt it. Next, you're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of ground cumin. You can use up to 1/2 teaspoon if you like, but in all honesty, sometimes I think it smells like underarms. So I'm just going to use 1/4 teaspoon. We're going to add just a tiny dash of paprika. This is an optional ingredient. If you like spicy stuff, put it in there. Maybe that was 1/8 teaspoon. It sure wasn't very much. Okay, all we have left to add is oil and water. We need to add 3 tablespoons of oil and 3 tablespoons of cold, ice cold water. Now, we haul our own water, which means that all the water that we have is either piping hot sitting on our stock pot on the wood stove, or it's at room temperature. So, because we need ice cold water, I got some snow and some water, and now, guess what? It's cold. So 3 tablespoons of cold water. That'll help it get smooth, okay? Now we're going to add 3 tablespoons of oil. Usually people add tahini to this recipe, but I find that to be expensive, and I bought it in a jar once for like $11, and it went bad because it sat so long before I used it all. So what I do is I substitute part of the oil that you would use with a little bit of toasted sesame oil. It comes out pretty good. So we're going to add 1 tablespoon of the toasted sesame oil. Okay, we just have 2 tablespoons of olive oil left, but I'm going to add that while this is whipping around inside the Ninja. All right, it's that easy to make hummus, and just as easy to replace that fresh squeezed lemon juice we were supposed to put in here for those preserved lemons. Now, if we want to dress it up a little bit, you can add a little bit of toasted sesame oil on top, just a drizzle, and a little bit of red pepper flakes. Let's see if our taste tester's up for another taste. All right, are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it's hummus.
I know. Excited.
Hummus means yummus. Sorry, I'm a dork. Yeah. Okay, we're still on the snack section. Number 10, a dippy sauce for French fries. Now, these are the potatoes we grew in our garden this last year. Let me get them all chopped up and julienned here, and then we'll make the dippy sauce. I guess the fancy word for dippy sauce is aioli, but we're going to call it dippy sauce. I'll meet you back in a second. Okay, we have about 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise in the bottom of this bowl. I'm going to give us 1 tablespoon of honey. And I think a decent sized tablespoon of this lemon paste. And then we just need to add some mustard to it. I think just a tiny dash of plain old yellow mustard will work. Maybe, let's do a teaspoon. See how that works out. Looks like we got our dippy sauce all mixed up. Now we got to get the fries in the oil. Okay, looks like our fries are done. We better shut it off. And then I'll show you the trick that my mom taught me for salting the fries. You just take a paper bag. If you have a used paper grocery bag, that would work just fine, but we don't have any used ones right now, so these little sandwich bags will work. Double bag it. Get the fries in there. There we go. And now we'll put some salt in there. This is that Redmond's livestock salt that we ground down so it doesn't have grit in it. You gotta be fast on this part. You put the salt in there and then you shake it up. It does two things. It helps get rid of some of the extra grease and it gets the salt to mix around on all the fries. Okay, famous taste tester time. Are you excited about this one?
This is my favorite job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dippy sauce is a lemon honey mustard.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mm.
You can drink it. I mean, I guess you could.
Is that a challenge?
No, not a challenge.
Mm. Wow.
You like the lemon in it?
I thought it might be weird, but I like it.
With all that taste testing, are you sure you need me to make dinner?
I can eat.
Okay. I guess that brings us to the next section, main dishes. Lemon and rosemary roasted chicken.
Ooh.
I can't believe you're still hungry.
It's yummy.
I'm glad you're happy.
Yeah.
Okay, this homegrown roasted chicken's gonna bring us to number 12. He was raised right here on our farm. He's at 6.5 pounds in his current state. And the topping that we're gonna make for him before he goes in the oven is super easy. In case you didn't know, this is Benito the Super Chicken. He sometimes lives on our dishes. We've got our oven preheated to 375 right now. In the bottom of this Benito the Super Chicken cup, I have a tablespoon of minced garlic. You gotta get out of the way, buddy. All right, and now we're gonna take maybe 2 tablespoons of this lemon paste, okay? The same amount of olive oil, and basically we're gonna make an emulsion out of it. But we're gonna put one of my favorite ingredients in there, rosemary. I think we got a good tablespoon of that rosemary in this cup. Now we just need to immersion blend it. All right, now all we have to do is take our emulsion and massage our chicken. That sounds horrible. Okay, now all we have to do is take our emulsion and massage it into our chicken here. We're just gonna coat him with it. Now that olive oil is gonna help him from drying out, and that lemon and rosemary is gonna make it taste so good. All right, we got all that on there, nice and pasted. And then we'll throw them in the oven as soon as the oven is heated up enough. Now, if you didn't know, pasture-raised homegrown chickens cook about 75% of the time as your regular store-bought chicken. So we're gonna put this guy in the oven only for about an hour and a half to start, and then we'll check his temperature and see if he needs a little bit longer. All right, while that chicken's finishing cooking, let's talk about number 13. Now, using preserved lemons is a way to have lemons without having to have fresh lemons all the time, right? So if you were gonna bake or grill some fish, you could cut these preserved lemons into tiny little slivers and put them on your fish when you baked or grilled it, okay? Not too hard, right? All right, let's talk about number 14. You can take these tiny little bits of preserved lemon that we chopped up earlier and really, really finely chop them, okay, till they're teeny tiny. Because what you can do with it is you can mix it with a little bit of honey and olive oil and baste that over shrimp kebabs if you're grilling shrimp kebabs. Okay, our big beautiful bird is all done now. That just about finishes out number 12. And since we already did 13 and 14 waiting for the chicken to cook, I think I have a 12 and a half for you. When we're done eating on this chicken, there'll be little bits and pieces left. We're gonna boil down the carcass and I'll pick off the little tiny bits of meat that are left and we're gonna make a rosemary and lemon chicken noodle soup. Yum. And what I'll do is I'll probably add a little bit more of that preserved lemon paste, lots of rosemary, and a little bit of those diced lemons into the stock. Well, it's time for Mr. Reeve and I to have dinner, and we'll be back with number 15 in just a moment. Number 15 is about pasta. You can take these tiny little diced preserved lemons and put them in a cold pasta salad, which is fine and good, but this is where the magic happens. If you take this preserved lemon paste and you add it to your Alfredo sauce, you can have a lemon chicken Alfredo pasta, or if you like to make a white chicken lasagna where you use a white garlic sauce instead of a red sauce and use chicken as the protein, you can either add this paste to the white sauce or you can add it to your ricotta cheese, let it sit in the fridge for a day, and then it's like a really yummy lemon ricotta. Okay, we better get going with the rest. Why are we waiting for dessert? That's what I'd like to know. Well, we made it to number 16 and on to the desserts, but it was last night when we finished up number 15 and I didn't realize how late it was, so here we are the next day. There's a couple of modifications, or at least things you need to keep in mind when you're going to use your preserved lemons in desserts. Now remember, these preserved lemons were lacto-fermented. That means they were fermented in a salt brine, so they're going to carry a lot of salt content with them. That means that when you're using these lemons in your regular dessert recipes, you're really going to consider, are you going to add the salt the recipe calls for, or hold it back, or maybe just add a portion of it. When I'm doing desserts with fermented lemons, I just don't add the salt because for me, there's enough salt in here. The other thing that I consider when I'm using preserved lemons in desserts is the amount of sugar. Generally, in any recipe that you give me, I'm going to take the sugar and cut it to 60% just because personally, that's the way I like things. But when I'm using preserved lemons, I'm going to use the full amount of sugar. Now, you might not cut sugar generally in your recipes, so that won't really apply to you. If you like things a little more sweet, when you're using preserved lemons, you might actually just put a little extra sugar in there, like maybe an additional 20%. All right now we're making lemon poppy seed muffins. I have all of my dry ingredients in here and a little bit of yogurt. I use the full amount of sugar. And instead of using the lemon juice or lemon zest the recipe calls for, I'm going to put 2 big tablespoons of this preserved lemon in there. And maybe a little extra. And this recipe called for salt, I think a 1/2 teaspoon or a 1/4 teaspoon, but I'm not going to put that in there because the preserved lemons, like I said, carries a decent amount of salt. Now, if you're really concerned about the salt content of the preserved lemons going into your desserts and making them too salty, what you can do is at the very beginning, remember when we removed the membranes, you can rinse that underwater and start getting some of that peel to be rinsed off and get some of that brine solution at least to be rinsed off. And that'll cut the salt content a little bit. Or if you even wanted to do more than that, you could pull the membranes off and leave the peels in a bowl of water and let them sit for a couple of hours and then dump that water out, and that'll help get some of that salt content out also. But I don't worry about that. I just don't add salt to any of the recipes that I use for desserts. And I'm not going to write the recipe down for you for this. This is just a lemon poppy seed recipe. Easy cake. And instead of the lemon that they call for, I use the preserved lemon, right? And I didn't add salt. And I didn't cut the sugar. Let me get this mixed up and I'll put them in the muffin tins. Okay, 17 I'm going to tell you about and 18 we're going to make. You can add the preserved lemon paste in replacement of lemon juice and the diced preserved lemons in a replacement for the lemon zest in recipes that you are making biscotti or scones for. Now, I'm not going to make biscotti today because I'm hoping in the next couple weeks to make you your own biscotti video that has different kinds of biscotti that you can make. And we'll make sure to use preserved lemons in one of those. Okay, on to number 18. We are going to make some sugar cookies that we're going to add a little bit of lemon to and a little bit of extra weird ingredient that you surely wouldn't have to add if you don't want to. This is just the dry ingredients for a regular old sugar cookie recipe. Nothing fancy. I didn't cut the sugar like I normally do, but I didn't add the salt. Remember, we talked about that earlier, okay? And I'm just going to cut the butter into it. I'm not going to do this as a chilled dough. I don't like doing that. It takes a long time. So we are going to cheat and just add the butter in now and call it good and not worry about sticking it in the fridge. Like if it says refrigerator cookie anywhere, I am out because I don't have time to do it. I have time to do it right then and there, and that's it. Okay, I think we got that butter nice and chopped up in there now. Add a little bit of vanilla. Easy cake, an egg. Okay, everything that's in this bowl now is just a regular sugar cookie recipe. All the ingredients are in there. It's done. Okay, I'm going to add 1/2 tablespoon of the lemon paste to this and a big tablespoon of these tiny little diced up pieces, maybe a little extra. Okay. And these are pieces I diced up really small because they're supposed to be in here essentially an equivalent to lemon zest. Okay, so now if you're a weirdo like me, you could add a little bit of lavender. I love lavender in everything, and I think it's delicious and wonderful. So I'm going to add about a tablespoon of these little lavender buds in here. Smells so good. Okay, now we'll get this all mixed up. Okay, we got our dough all mixed up. So we're just going to put a little bit of sugar in a plate and grab a bit, roll it up, roll it in the sugar. It'll go in the oven just like a regular old sugar cookie, 350 for 10 or 12 minutes. I'll put it on some parchment paper, squish it down. You look over, my parchment paper is pretty mangled. It's actually new, but I learned from Chelsea at Little Mountain Ranch, who we have watched for a long time, way before she made lots and lots of videos, because they have a similar climate than us. They live in Canada. Anyways, one of her lovely viewers told her that if you have a hard time with the parchment paper rolling up and moving around when you put it on your cookie sheet, you can crinkle it up first and then flatten it out. And that has been awesome. So Chelsea and Chelsea's viewers, thank you so much for that tip. All right, let me get all these on here, and then we'll get them cooked. And then it'll be our famous Taste Sister time for the dessert section. All right, Mr. Reeve, are you ready for taste test number 16 and 18?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, now hold on. Nope, put that back.
What are you talking about?
Sorry, about ready to break your heart. That's your plate. Thank you, sir.
Where's the rest of it?
Yeah, that's enough. Go ahead.
What am I supposed to eat first? Do you care?
No, let's do 16, the muffin.
Santa, huh?
Yeah, it's what we had.
Mmm. Ooh, smells good. Mmm, that's good.
Drink your coffee. On to 18.
Okay.
And if you're nice, I might give you the big plate of goodies.
I'll use my masculine wiles on you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You'll go chop down some trees.
Right.
That'll learn you cookies. That'll learn you cookies. You like the lavender in there or
Wow.
not so much?
No, I do. Yeah. It's nice and lemony too.
Okay, you are a nice man and I love you.
Oh.
You can have the big plate.
Yay.
Do it damage, friend.
Oh, I'll do it.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us at Flat Tire Farm. I hope you enjoyed our preserved lemon video today. If you have ideas about how you would use preserved lemons, put them in the comments below. I'd love to hear your creativity. I'll put the playlist here for the lemon series where you can learn how to make preserved lemons. And also I'll put the playlist here, Home Cooking for Busy Lives, where you can learn how to make Chinese 5-spice. I'll put some of the recipes in the description below, as well as some of the links for the things that we used today. Stay warm out there, guys, and stay tuned for the next video.